The date is November 16th, 2023. I usually have put the heat on November 8th, at least it was the last couple of years. This year we had some somewhat warmer days and things tended to hold out. And we did have some really kind of frozendy days where it only hit like 40. And we made do with the electric heaters, but it was a little rough. I have a whole series on all of the electric heaters I have. There's going to be links in the description. Right now, it is 62 degrees down here. It's cold, but not cold. It's perfectly acceptable, but my hands and my feet have been freezing for the last couple weeks. Right now, it's almost 60 degrees out. And it's going to be that way tomorrow as well. I don't know what Saturday is going to be, but I think we've waited long enough, and it would be a very wise idea to get this guy running. It's gas, so there's actually nothing to do but flip the switch, but I like to do a little PM before we get started. I like to vacuum the dust off of it, because dust collects on top of it. It hasn't been used since last year. Collects on the vent hood. You know, all that great stuff. So I like to vacuum all the pipes and all that, because otherwise you get that burning dust smell. And while eventually it will dissipate, just vacuum it. You know, what's the harm? So first thing we have to do is plug our vacuum in. We'll get our vacuum, which I actually have right down here, the IBM service vacuum. Had a video on that a long time ago. Got to get that plugged in, and that is going to plug in to the outlet, which is up here. And if I come around the camera, the boiler plugs into this outlet, and the idea behind that, hopefully you can see this because I can't tell. Let's make sure you can. So the outlet here, the plug is for the boiler, so when I unplug that, the boiler is disconnected. In the event of a power outage, I got battery boxes, I got generators, I got things, and I can plug this in. Each of the two circulator pumps uses, I think, 80 watts, so it's not really a lot of electricity pop, and that can run the heat for the house in the event of an extended outage, should we need it, which is something I didn't have during Hurricane Sandy, which was, what, 11 years ago now? Something like that. I am much more prepared for a hurricane than I was back when that hit. I didn't have any generators, I didn't have battery boxes, I didn't have USB battery banks to charge the phone. A lot of people didn't. In fact, a lot of people during Hurricane Sandy would plug the car charger in their car and then drain the battery of their car charging their phone, because of course that was more important than getting the fuck off of the island in the event of a major problem. Anyway, now that that is disconnected, I can plug the vacuum in, but that outlet is dead because there's a switch. Here is the switch. It is a vintage Lilco electric company switch. That was like 2 electric companies ago. It says gas heater on, off, keep pilot on year round. I do that. I didn't used to, because my dad said, well, why burn all of that gas over the summer that you're never going to use? This is definitely the way to go, to leave the pilot lit, because pretty much when it's lit, that ain't going out. So it's better. Vintage click switch. Nice. So now I can use that outlet as a service outlet and plug my service vacuum in. Haha. Put the brush on. That's a vintage brush from some vacuum somewhere. I think it was XJO81X's grandmother. Don't have the vacuum, just the brush. And I think we'll just kind of get started. Alright, I think that concludes the vacuum portion. Now compressed air. Let's see if the old Coleman 6-gallon air compressor will start. But fortunately it did. We'll let that fill up. And now we will build the air line. This comes down, not using the little blowgun, using the big one, but I need a extension hose, which is the same one that I use for the sprinklers, which of course is all tangled up. Yeah, it leaks a bit. That's why it's the basement stuff. It leaks still. So that's good. As long as it leaks, we're good. And that'll continue to leak. But it's minor. It'll be more than enough. This leaks too, so that's good. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. I don't know when that's going to burst, but probably soon. I think that was my original airline from my very first compressor. I'm surprised it hasn't blown up yet. There we go. Now we have our leaky air hose and our long blowgun. And now we'll just blow off anything I may have missed with the vacuum. Compressor may fire at any time. There's some stuff coming off. And now the most fun, favoriteest part that I hate, which is blowing out inside the chamber. Oh, got something here. It's just dust. That's fine. Have to get in here. Yep, pilot's lit, of course, because I left it that way. You gotta door to remove. I thought it said what it was. It's just to block the flames from coming out. And I'm going to blow air in here, clean all the dust out of that. But invariably the pilot is going to go out when I do that. And then I have to immediately relight it. So I have my little sparker thing, and that'll work fine for that, so we'll keep that handy. And I'll blow underneath first. That's good. Oh. So now the fun part is the actual burner. I think the rest is okay. I might just blow in the burner tubes, the air tubes. Or maybe you could call them the gas tubes, because that's actually what they are. Alright, then we'll go in here. That wants to pull the camera. There we go. That wasn't actually too bad. Problem is getting this damn door back in. That usually is a struggle. Because I can't see where it's supposed to hang from. So I'm just kind of blindly guessing. Might need to get a light. I know the general area, but okay, I'm going to struggle for a little bit. Try to figure out where this goes back. Does it just hang in there? Is that it? That simple? Oh, there. See, like I said, it helps to know where it's supposed to go. All right. That's good. That's pretty good. Awesome. So now we're almost ready to fire. But I gotta get out of here. Let's see. It looks like we have about 2 pounds of pressure in the boiler. That's probably not good. Temperature is low because it ain't got none right now. All done with that. So I'm going to tidy everything up that fell, and then we'll move on to the next step. The next thing I'd like to do is apply power to the boiler. Both thermostats are calling for heat right now, so what's going to happen is both circulator pumps are going to go on immediately. And there's going to be 2 clangs. They happen at exactly the same time, so it's just louder, of the contactors. So let's do that first. One, two. Yes, they're running. I am interested in this pipe, and I do feel warm here. And yes, it has gotten warm higher up. So that's good. Let's see over here. Put you It's not really a great place. Maybe here. This is the main floor. Still ice cold. But that may be normal. This pipe here is now pretty cold. And that's cold. Let's see about the basement. Slightly warm-ish, maybe. The main floor, yeah, it's got a little warmth to it now, so that's all good. That means the circulators are circulating, which is a great thing. And the next step is to fire it up. But I like to leave the circulators run. You can see I have indicators on them. A little green LED, and there's one on the other one. There's a video about that. There's a link in the prescription. This way I know which zone is calling for heat when I'm down here, which is really a nice touch. Should be on all boilers, but hey, this is my house. Everything looks good. I'm going to let these circulators chooch for a bit. I do not like the rust spot on top of it, which would indicate it's leaking. And there is like a drip line, like a mark. So I don't like that. And the other one is getting rusty-ish looking also. These gaskets are not the happiest looking things. I changed these years ago. Might have been a video on that too. The gaskets are hard as a rock. That's great. Don't want to change those again. But I'll be back in a bit. Alright, we're ready to fire. So this is it. Just got to turn the gas on right there. And it should light off. There we are. Now we play the waiting game. Not to be confused with the newlywed game or the dating game or any of those. We watch the gauges. So meanwhile, I'll tell you a bit about how this works. This is a HydroTherm boiler, I believe from 1974, excuse me. 1974, so this boiler is 49 years old, if I did the mathematicals right. This is a hydronic boiler, and what it does is it heats water and pumps it around with the circulators to go to the radiators in the house. There are metal radiators. You might be familiar with baseboards. This house has some baseboards and also has some actual radiators in the wall. Pretty much any homes that were built like this back in the day with those radiators and that, they don't install boilers like this anymore. They're still made for replacements, but they're not really installed in new installations because of how costly it is. You have to run pipes all around the entire house. It had to be planned, and nobody can plan 5 minutes into their day, much less an entire house now. So what's happening inside is there's a burner, you saw that, and that's heating. It's heating the water. The water is then forced upwards through that center pipe in the boiler, which is starting to get warm, a wonderful thing, and that is going up basically in a chase around the house. It goes around the perimeter of the house to all of the different radiators. Inside the radiators, the smaller ones, not the baseboards that are in the wall, is a pipe that loops and loops and loops and loops back, just like a coil on an air conditioner. And the water is pumped through that, and there are fins on it, just like on an air conditioner. It's a heat sink. That's correct. It takes the heat from that pipe and radiates it outwards. It's all done by convection. The colder air that sinks to the floor naturally goes in at the bottom of the radiator. The heat from that causes an updraft, just a tiny amount, and that forces the heat out the top, which goes into the room. The cycle repeats over and over and over again. So right now, it's burning. It's on. I'm going to get up because I forgot one thing that I should have gotten. So I got to walk in front of the camera. Pardon me a second. And I'm going to sneak past again. Before I do that, the upstairs pipe is getting somewhat a little warm. The main center pipe is getting hotter. That's good. Pardon me. The basement zone is getting warm as well. They're not going to be as hot as the center pipe here because that pipe is the water direct out of the boiler, and these pipes going into the circulators are the returns, if you will. I got this thing from China some time ago. We'll turn it on. It takes 2 minutes, 120 seconds before it does anything. I'm going to leave that right here on the boiler for now. I don't leave it there because it's plastic and that. And that's going to show TVOC, AQI, CO, CO2, and HCHO. If you don't know what those are, just Google. Number we're interested in is the CO, carbon monoxide. I'm currently feeling the vent hood on the exhaust, which goes up the chimney. And while I feel warmth, I don't really feel much of a draft coming in, which is exactly what you want. What you do, lick right between your fingers and hold it. And if you feel coolness, then that means that the air is coming down the chimney. I do not feel that, which is great. I think we started gauging a little bit. Pressure has increased ever so slightly to maybe 3, and the bottom is showing the temperature, and that tops out around 180 to 190, I think, somewhere in there. If I zoom you out, you'll see this box. I had a video looking at inside all the boxes on the boiler. That's called a hydrostat. It's like a thermostat, except it senses the temperature of water. And when the water in the boiler reaches the set temperature, which is adjustable inside the box, it shuts off. So that is the waiting game that we have. The meter has come up. CO2 is reading 2 parts per million. I think that's more than perfectly acceptable. CO2 is close to 300. Air quality index is 1, which is excellent. That's the AQI. TVOC is 0. HCHO is 0.003. So we are looking at excellent numbers. And I'm not in any danger of carbon monoxide poisoning. In fact, it went down to 2 at this point. So I'm going to just sit here and let this cook until we hit that 180, 190 mark. I don't remember where it turns off. Somewhere in there. I can tell you that when I first moved in, this boiler was working but not working. It was working in a sense, but I was not happy with the pressure that I saw on the gauge. It was too low. There is a fill valve on the boiler, and it might work and it might not. There is water pressure going to it. Allegedly, it will take some if it needs some. But I was always filling the boiler manually to ensure it had proper pressure. That was bad to do. I later found out because the pressure I had it at was way too high for what it needed. And that put a lot of stress on everything, most notably the pump gaskets. So I've changed those at least 2 times, if not 3. And it is no picnic in any way, shape, or form to replace those gaskets. That is not a job I want to do again anytime ever, but I'm sure it will need it eventually. So pretty much all we have is a huge tea kettle, and it's cooking the water, and it's pumping it around. My gauges on the pipes have all risen. We're at, about 35 degrees C on all of the pipes. I wanted to get Fahrenheit ones, because that's what we use here in the States, but they were like 5 times the price, so it's Celsius. Doesn't matter what it reads as long as you know the target number it needs to be, and as long as it gets there, then you're good. Our numbers for the air quality have not changed at all. Still 2 parts per million for carbon monoxide, 303 for CO2, TVOC is 0, AQI is 1, HCHO is 0.003. Those numbers have not changed. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Might be getting a little warm, so I'll move it from where it was. The numbers have risen drastically, which is interesting. A lot of CO2 now, 1,600 and 100 and... No, it's going down now. It was up to like 100 and something carbon monoxide. Even 200 now. But again, there's no backdraft. CO has calmed down to 19. We've now reached 40 degrees C on just about all of the pipes. So that's moving up. Pressure, maybe a good 5 by now. I can't see it straight on. Maybe even 6. These operate at fairly low pressure. Temperature has risen. I think the gauges on the pipes end up around 50-ish. 50 something, maybe 55, which a rough guess would be about 140 degrees. That's about right if this goes to 180, 140, so 40 degrees differential temperature in the water for how accurate these things are just strapped on the pipes with springs, but everything seems to be going well. Carbon monoxide is down to 2. As I talk, the carbon dioxide goes up because I'm exhaling that. But the monoxide at the top is what we're really interested in. We're getting closer to 180. I don't see any obvious signs of leakage here, which is excellent. There's little cracks and pops as everything expands. Kind of to be expected, really. This hasn't been fired since last winter, you know, so that's what happens. Let's get a closer up view of the gauges. And there we are, a successful cycle. The sputter pop sound is exactly the same kind of sound that you get on a barbecue. It's always done that. I don't know why, but that's how it works. So what's happening now is both zones are still calling for heat, so both circulators are running. The hydrostat is satisfied right here, and because of that, the burner isn't on. So this will control the burner on and off as needed as the temperature goes down, because right now it's giving up all of that heat through the radiators, through the water that was heated by the boiler. It's pretty simple stuff, really. And when it cools down enough, then it's going to call for the burner to come back on. And that cycle is going to repeat again and again and again until the thermostat, or thermostats in this case, because of how cold it is, are satisfied. At which point there's no more call for heat and everything shuts off, including the circulators. Our numbers are pretty good. CO2 is 2. Everything looks great. No complaints for the 49th year. And the burner just kicked back on. And that's going to do it. The heat is on. Excellent. I'm very happy about that. Good deal. Thank frig. Well, I think that's going to pretty well do it for this one. I thank you very kindly for watching. Before we go, I didn't have to do any of this preventative maintenance, but I feel it's good practice to do so. There are tons of old ladies out there that have boilers, whether they're oil or gas fired, doesn't matter. But they work on the same principle of heating water, and those just haven't been touched. They're just left there, especially the old gas ones. They just turn the heat on at the thermostat and shut it off, and that's it. I don't know. When it breaks, I call the serviceman, and then it costs a fortune, and I don't know what we're going to do about the carburetor on Jimmy's truck. But for me, I like to vacuum all this stuff out, blow it with compressed air, and especially inside the burner chamber, just in case there's any crap in there that's, you know. Anyway, that's going to do it. I thank you so kindly for watching, and I really appreciate it. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.